So my discussion for today is Module 5, Psychological Theories of Crime Causation. First, psychological theories. Why do individuals commit crimes? At the same time, why is crime present in our society? The criminal justice system is very concerned with these questions and criminologists are attempting to answer them. In actuality, the questions of why crime is committed is very difficult to answer. However, for centuries, people have been searching for answers. It is important to recognize that there are many different explanations how or as to why individuals commit crime. One of the main explanations is based on psychological theories which focus on the association among intelligence, personality, learning, and criminal behavior. Thus, in any discussion concerning crime causation, one must contemplate psychological theories. So, bakit nga ba nakakapag-commit ng crime ang isang tao? And at the same time, bakit nagkakaroon ng krimen sa community or sa society na ginagalawan ng tao na yon? So, when examining psychological theories of crime, one must be cognizant of the three major theories. The first is psychodynamic theory, which is centered on the notion that an individual's early childhood experience influences his or her likelihood for committing future crimes. So, sabi dito sa psychodynamic theory, okay, yung individual's early childhood experience is yun yung nakakapag-influence sa kanya into the future, kung ano yung mga gagawin niya. Okay? Sa future, kung ano yung mga gagawin niya. The second is behavioral theory. Behavioral theories have expanded the work of Gabriel Tarde through behavior modeling and social learning. The third is cognitive theory, the major premise of which suggests that an individual's perception and how it is manifested affect his or her potential to commit crime. In other words, behavioral theory focuses on how an individual's perception of the world influences his or her behavior. Dito naman sa behavioral theory, okay, nagfo-focus siya sa individual's perception. Okay? And kung paano mai-influence or paano mai-influensahan yung behavior niya. Also, German to psychological theories are personality and intelligence combined. These 5 theories of characteristics, example, psychodynamic, cognitive, behavioral, personality, and intelligence, offer appealing insight into why an individual may commit a crime. However, one should not assume there is only one reason why persons commits crime. Researchers looking for a single explanation should be cautious because there is no panacea for the problem of crime. Next, early research. Charles Goring discovered a relationship between crime and flawed intelligence. Goring examined more than 3,000 convicts in England. It is important to note that Goring found no physical differences between non-criminal and criminal. So, si Goring, okay, na-found out niya na walang pagkakaiba sa physical between non-criminal and criminals. However, he did find that criminals are more likely to be insane, to be unintelligent, and to exhibit poor social behavior. So, yung mga criminals, okay, is likely to be insane or baliw, hindi nakapag-aral, to be unintelligent, and to exhibit poor social behavior. Hindi sila masyadong nakikipag-socialize. A second pioneer is Gabriel Tarde, who maintained that individuals learn from each other or ultimately imitate one another. So, yung sa mga individuals, kung ano yung nakikita nila sa ibang tao, okay, yun naman yung ginagaya nila. Interestingly, Tarde thought that out of 100 individuals, only one was creative or inventive, and the remainder were prone to imitation. So, yan yung sa early research nila. Next, we have the so-called Psychodynamic Theory by Sigmund Freud. According to Freud, all behavior, whether normal or abnormal, is influenced by the unconscious mind. This belief is called psychic determinism or psychopath. Yung psychopath naman na tinatawag natin, persons characterized by no sense of guilt. Okay? Wala silang guilt or hindi sila nagigilty. No subjective conscience and no sense of right and wrong. Okay? Hindi nila alam kung ano yung tama at mali at wala din silang konsensya. Yan yung mga psychopath na tinatawag natin. They have difficulty in forming relationship with other people. They cannot emphasize with other people or empathize with other people. They are also called sociopath or antisocial personality. So, yan yung mga tinatawag nating psychopath. Hindi sila nagigilty, wala silang konsensya, and also hindi nila alam yung right and wrong. Next, 3 parts of human personality. We have the id, ego, and the superego. Id, yan yung selfish and seek pleasure. Yung id, gusto lang niya puro pleasure. Si superego naman, the socialized component. Repressing pleasure, seeking instinct. Superego will conflict with id. Okay? So, ang magkalaban si id and si ego. Si ego ang nasa gitna. Okay? Siya yung parang referee between superego and id. So, yan yung 3 parts of human personality natin. Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytic theory of personality argues that human behavior is the result of the interaction among 3 component parts of the mind. Okay? Yung 3 component parts of the mind is the id, ego, and the superego. Sabi ni Sigmund Freud doon sa psychoanalytic theory niya, okay, na yung personality ng isang tao, okay, or personality argues that human behavior is the result of the interaction, okay, nung 3 parts ng mind, yung id, ego, and the superego. This theory, known as Freud's structural theory of personality, places great emphasis on the role of unconscious psychological conflicts in shaping behavior and personality. Dynamic interactions among these fundamental parts of the mind are thought to progress through 5 distinct psychosexual stages of development. Over the last century, however, Freud's ideas have been met with criticisms, in part because of his singular focus on the sexuality as the main driver of human personality development. Freud believed that the nature of the conflicts among the id, ego, and the superego change over time as a person grows from child to adult. Specifically, he maintained that these conflicts progress through a series of 5 basic stages, each with a different focus: oral, anal, phallic, latency, and genital. He called his idea the psychosexual theory of development, with each psychosexual stage directly related to a different physical pleasure. So, meron tayong 5 basic stages. Okay? Yung oral, anal, phallic, and latency, and last is genital. So, makikita natin yan kapag matatakal natin yan. So, next. Across these 5 stages, the child is presented with different conflicts between their biological drives o yung tinatawag nating id and their social moral conscience o yung superego because their biological pleasure seeking urge focus on different areas of the body. What Freud called erogenous zones. So, yung tatlong yan, tinatawag din nating erogenous zones. The child's ability to resolve these internal conflicts determines their future ability to cope and function as an adult. Failure to resolve a stage can lead one to become fixated in that stage, leading to unhealthy personality traits. Successful resolution of the stages leads to a healthy adult. So, number 2, we have the so-called operant conditioning by B.F. Skinner. It's based upon the idea that learning is a function of change in overt behavior. Changes in behavior are the result of individual response to events that occur in the environment. So, itong operant conditioning naman by B.F. Skinner, okay, is all about overt behavior or yung pagbabago ng behavior or kung ano yung nagagawang result ng behavior doon sa tao na yon. Next, we have behaviorism by John Watson. It views man as an animal to the same laws of stimulus response that he observes in his animal experiments. It also holds that the subject matter of human psychology is the behavior of the human being. Behaviorism claims that consciousness is neither a definite nor a usable concept. Accordingly, it is possible to break down and analyze a certain behavior into stimulus-response unit. Ivan Pavlov, experiment on dogs enabled psychologists to explain certain behavior and certain differences among individuals as the result of learning. Dito naman sa behaviorism, okay, sabi dito, nakikita nila yung tao as an animal to the same laws of stimulus and response. Parang magkatulad yung nagiging stimulus and response ng animal at ng tao. And also, he observes in his animal experiments. Kasi nga meron din kasing isang scientist na si Ivan Pavlov na nag-experiment on dogs enabled psychologists para ma-explain yung certain behavior and certain difference among individuals as the result of learning. Kung ano ba yung pagkakaiba ng behavior ng animal sa tao. We have differential reinforcement theory by Ronald Akers. Differential reinforcement theory by Ronald Akers, it tries to incorporate the psychological principles of operant conditioning and held that even non-social situations could reinforce learning criminal behavior. So, dito naman sa differential reinforcement theory, okay, kinuha yung principles ng operant conditioning, okay, para ma-reinforce yung learning ng criminal behavior. Next, we have the social learning theories. Social learning theories suggest that children learn to exhibit aggressive behaviors because they observe others by acting aggressively and can see how these behaviors are reinforced over time. Social learning theories emphasize the importance of the social context and posit that individuals can learn by observing others' action and whether these individuals are positively or negatively reinforced when exhibiting aggressive behavior. Research by Bandura has also suggested that young children imitate adults' aggressive action that they witness in contrived social setting. Thus, aggressive behavior is thought to occur because it has been either modeled or reinforced over time. So, dito naman sa social learning theories natin, okay, yung children learn to exhibit aggressive behavior dahil nga dun sa na-observe nila, dun sa society nila, or doon sa community nila. And also, nakukuha din nila yon. Okay, habang na-observe nila yung mga action dun sa society nila, pwede rin nilang makuha yon. And kaya, yung ibang children or ibang tao nagiging aggressive na din once na nagiging aggressive na din kapag meron na silang nakikitang negative doon sa society na ron. And also, sabi dito, Bandura has also suggested that young children imitate adults. So, kung ano yung nakikita ng bata doon sa magulang or ibang tao, okay, yun din yung ini-imitate niya. So, next, Albert Bandura, yung social learning theory. In social learning theory, Albert Bandura agrees with the behaviorist learning theories of classical conditioning and operant conditioning. However, he adds two important ideas. Mediating processes occur between stimuli and responses. And next, behavior is learned from the environment through the process of observational learning. Social learning theory, which is a branch of behavior theory, is the most relevant to criminology. The most prominent social learning theorist is Albert Bandura. Bandura maintains that individuals are not born with an innate ability to act violently. So, sabi niya, ang individuals is hindi naman daw ipinanganak na meron ng agad violent act. He suggested that in contrast, violence and aggression are learned through a process of behavior modeling. In other words, children learn violence through the observation of others' aggressive acts are modeled after three primary sources. First, family interaction. Okay, so dito na natututunan yung bata yung violence or dito niya na ma-observe yung violence and aggressive acts. Una, sa family interaction. Pangalawa, environmental experiences. Pangatlo, the mass media. Research on family interaction demonstrate that children who are aggressive are more likely to have been brought up by parents or caretakers who are aggressive. So, kapag dun sa research, sabi nila, kapag yung bata daw is aggressive na, okay, more likely, nakukuha niya yun doon sa parents or doon sa guardian niya na aggressive din. So, yan yung social learning theory. Yung naa-adapt ng bata. Next, we have the cognitive theories of crime. Cognitive is defined as an ability to process information. Cognition has to do with one's ability to learn information quickly, memorize, and understand information they receive. Therefore, cognitive theories of crime fall under the psychological theories of criminal behavior. It is very important for you to know that there are many different theories out there that attempt to explain criminal behavior. In our desperation to understand why people commit crimes in the first place, psychologists and sociologists often study, analyze, and develop explanation of why these behaviors exist. So please remember that the cognitive theory is one of many psychological theories of criminal behavior. Cognitive theories of crime explain criminal behavior as a defect in moral thinking, through processes and mental development. Cognitive theories also help us to understand how an individual's personality and intelligence level are linked to delinquency. Cognitive theories focus on how we perceive the world around us and how we think, and the factors that influence our mental development. Family upbringing, parental modeling, personality, intelligence. These theories help to explain how we develop moral in our thought process. Dito sa cognitive theory, okay, o yung tinatawag nating cognitive, ito yung ability ng isang tao kung paano niya maipaprocess yung isang information na ibinibigay sa kanya. Okay, and also cognitive theories of crime explain criminal behavior as a defect in moral thinking through process and mental development. Cognitive theory also help us to understand how an individual personality and intelligence level are linked to delinquency. So, pinapakita din dito sa cognitive theory nung individual personality and intelligence level kung paano maglilink yung personality and intelligence ng tao na yon para makagawa ng delinquent or delinquency. Kung paano siya magiging delinquent na tao or kung paano siya makakagawa ng crime. Next, in his theory of cognitive development, Jean Piaget proposed that humans progress through 4 developmental stages: the sensory-motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational period. So, first, we have the stage, age, and goal. Doon muna tayo sa sensory-motor. Birth to 18 to 24 months old, object permanence. Kapag pre-operation naman, 2 to 7 years old, symbolic thought. Kapag concrete operational, 7 to 11 years old, operational thought na yan. Kapag formal operational na, adolescence to adult, abstract concept na. Ayan yung pinopose ni Jean Piaget. Okay, the developmental stage. We have the sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational. Next, we have the so-called moral development theory. One theory within the cognitive framework focuses on moral and intellectual development. Jean Piaget hypothesized that the individual reasoning process is developed in an orderly fashion. Thus, from birth onward, an individual will continue to develop. Another pioneer of cognitive theory is Lawrence Kohlberg, who applied the concept of moral development to criminological theory. Kohlberg believed that individuals pass through stages of moral development. Dito sa moral development natin, okay, so dalawang tao, si Jean Piaget and si Lawrence Kohlberg, sinasabi nila na every individual kailangang mag-pass through stages. Okay? Most important to his theory is the notion that there are levels, stages, and social orientation. The 3 levels are level 1, yung tinatawag nating pre-conventional, level 2, conventional, and level 3, the post-conventional. With respect to the different stages, stages 1 and 2 falls under level 1. Stages 3 and 4 fall under level 2, and stages 5 and 6 fall under level 3. Yan yung moral development. Moral development, meron niyang level and stages na kailangang mapass through ng isang individual. So, ito yon yung sinasabi ni Kohlberg. Level and stage, age range, description. First, we have the obedience and punishment. Sa infancy yan. No difference between doing the right thing and avoiding punishment. Number 2, self-interest. Preschool, interest shift to rewards rather than punishment. Effort is made to secure greatest benefit for oneself. Dito naman na, yung sa interest, sa self-interest, mas matimbang na yung makukuha nilang reward kaysa dun sa punishment. Kaya mas gusto na nila yung reward kaysa dun sa punishment. Conformity and interpersonal accord, school age, the good boy and good girl level. Effort is made to secure approval and maintain friendly relation with others. Next, authority and social order, sa school age pa din. Orientation toward fixed rules. Dapat dyan meron ka ng rules para sa kanila. The purpose of morality is maintaining the social order. Interpersonal accord is expanded to include the entire society. Next, we have the so-called social contract sa teens. Mutual benefit, reciprocity, moral right, and legal right are not always the same. Utilitarian rules that make life better for everyone. Next, universal principles sa adulthood na. Morality is based on principles that transcend mutual benefit. So, yan na yung Kohlberg theory. Next, we have the so-called intergenerational transmission theory. Dito naman sa intergenerational transmission, refers to the transfer of individual abilities, traits, behavior, and outcomes from parents to their children. So, eto na yung pagta-transfer ng individual abilities, traits, and behaviors, and outcome from parents to children. Economists have largely focused on the intergenerational transmission of educational attainment, earnings and income, wealth, fertility, decisions, and welfare receipt. When intergenerational transmission is strong, children turn out much like their parents and social mobility is low. Low intergenerational correlation in education earnings, teenage, childbearing, and welfare receipt in the US are sizable correlations between parents and children's educational attainment and earnings are both around 0.4. Daughters of teen or welfare mothers are nearly twice as likely to have a child when they are teenagers compared to daughters of older or no welfare mothers. Mothers who grew up in welfare family are 4 to 6 times more likely to receive welfare themselves than other mothers. What gives rise to the intergenerational transmission of these outcomes? Parents may genetically pass on abilities, endowments, or preferences to their children that predispose them to choose similar actions as they themselves choose. So, dito sa intergenerational transmission, ito na yung pagtatransfer ng individual abilities, traits, and behaviors doon sa parents from children naman. Next, this can generate an intergenerational correlation in outcomes even if there is no actual causal effect of a parent's behavior or outcome on the child. However, parents' actions themselves may encourage their children to take similar actions. For example, parents' schooling choices may directly impact their children's decision to stay in school. Intergenerational transmission incorporates both casual and non-casual channels. So, yun nga. Yung parents' schooling choices may directly impact their children's decision to stay in school. So, isa na yan sa mga intergenerational transmission. Next, we have the so-called differential association reinforcement theory. Differential association reinforcement theory was created in 1966 by Ronald Akers and Robert Borges. This theory is a combination of Skinnerism, behaviorism, social learning theory, and the differential association theory created by Edwin Sutherland. This theory explains that criminal behavior is learned by reinforcement we receive after committing deviant behavior. So, sinasabi dito na ang criminal behavior is natututunan once na nakapag-commit na tayo ng mga deviant behavior. We also learn behavior by watching others commit criminal acts and the reinforcement they receive. So, natututunan din natin yung behavior na yon sa pamamagitan lang ng panonood natin habang ginagawa nila yung krimen, and also kung ano ba yung nare-receive nila kapag nagawa na nila yung krimen na yon. Whether or not the individual will continue to commit a crime depends on the past, present, and future rewards as well as anticipated punishment. Punishment and rewards can be anything from money, food, pleasant and unpleasant feelings, as well as looks of happiness or disgust. So, yan, yung punishment and rewards can be anything. Pwedeng pera, pwedeng pagkain, pwedeng pleasant and unpleasant feelings, and syempre, happiness and or disgust. Yan naman yung tinatawag nating differential reinforcement theory. Next, we have Eysenck's theory of criminal personality. Hans Eysenck's theory of criminal personality suggests that personality is biologically based and that personality traits include dimensions of extraversions and neuroticism that can be measured using personality questionnaire. Introversion refers to a biological need individual have for high or low levels of environmental stimulation, determined by the level of arousal in a person's central and autonomic nervous system. This means that people with high levels of extraversion have a low level of arousal, meaning they require more environmental stimulation to fuel their excitement. In the context of forensic psychology, this environmental stimulation may include criminal behavior. So, ano nga ba yung tinatawag nating extraversion? Extraversion is the state of primarily obtaining gratification. Okay? Gratification, yun yung nag-gratify siya from outside oneself. Okay? Extraversion tend to enjoy human interactions and to be enthusiastic, like talkative, assertive, and gregarious. Okay? Extroverts are energized and thrive of being around other people. So, sabi dito, people with high level of extraversion have low level of arousal, meaning they require more environmental stimulation to fuel their excitement. So, kailangan pa nila ng environmental stimulation para to fuel their excitement. In the context of forensic psychology, this environmental stimulation may include criminal behavior. Neuroticism refers to the stability of personality, in a high neuroticism score would represent someone who is more reactive and volatile, and perhaps more likely to engage in offending behavior. Later, Eysenck added a third personality dimension, psychotism, which relates to the degree to which somebody is antisocial, aggressive, and uncaring. So, ang psychotism, ito naman yung antisocial, aggressive, and uncaring. Eysenck argue for there being a criminal personality which would characterize people who score highly on these three dimension. So, nagdagdag din noon si Eysenck ng isa pang personality. Yun yung psychotism. Next, we have integrated life course theories. Integrated theories of crime represent an attempt to bridge the ideological differences that exist among various older theories of crime by integrating variables from disparate theoretical approaches. An integrated approach recognizes that crime is complex, multidimensional phenomenon with multiple causes. By integrating a variety of ecological, socialization, psychological, biological, and economic factors into a coherent structure, such theories overcome the shortcomings of older theories that may be characterized on the grounds of reductionism. That is, many older theories of crime argue that one causal variable is predominantly important as a cause of crime. A problem with such an approach is that not all persons exposed to that variable, for example, poverty, commit crime. So, nakakapag-commit ka ng crime because of poverty. Dahil wala kang makain, wala kang perang pambili ng pagkain. Integrated theories recognize that multiple social and individual factors interact to result in the eventual behavior of individuals, and that we must consider the constellation of factors in an individual's life in order to understand his or her behavior. So, yan naman ang integrated life course. Also, integrated theories are theories that combine the concept and central propositions from two or more prior existing theories into a new single set of integrated concept and propositions. Integration can take several forms. Conceptual integration involves an absorption strategy, arguing that concepts from one theory have the same meaning and concepts from another theory and combining them into a common language and set of concepts. Propositional integration involves combining or linking propositions from one or more theories into a single, unified, and consistent set of propositions. Conceptual integration is very common in theory development, and a review of this type of integration essentially would involve general review of criminological theory. Propositional integration as a distinct development strategy is relatively rare and recent and is the subject of this online bibliography. In some instances, propositional integration is based on theory commonalities, and in others, it involves integrating competing theories. The number of theories combined currently ranges from 2 to 4, and there is substantial variation in the structure of the proposed integration. Structural arrangement typically take one of four forms: arranging theories, o yung tinatawag nating propositions, end-to-end, side-by-side, up and down, and some combination of these forms. The most common form of integration involves combining social control and social learning theories. Proponents view theory integration as an alternative strategy of theory development and testing that addresses some of the limitations of the more traditional competition strategy. They also claim increased levels of explanatory power compared to that of the individual theories combined and greater exclusiveness in types of criminal behavior explained. There is a lively debate about the nature and efficacy of this strategy, the structure and coherence of specific formulations, and the level of empirical support 4 specific integrated theories. Next, Bowlby maternal deprivation theory. Bowlby maternal deprivation theory hypothesis is proposed that a warm, intimate, and continuous relationship with a mother figure is necessary for healthy psychological emotional development. Mother love in infancy, childhood is an important for mental health as are vitamins and proteins for physical health. So, yung warm, intimate, and continuous relationship with mother and also mother love to the infancy and childhood is importante yon for the mental health and vitamins and proteins for physical health to the child. Consequences of maternal deprivation include an inability to form attachment in the future, affectionless psychopathy, and delinquency. So, yan yung magiging consequence kapag na-deprive yung maternal or consequence of maternal deprivation include. So, yan yung mga consequences. So, that was the end of my Module 5 discussion. Thank you and God bless.